What's going on, everybody? Average Arcader here, and as you can see, I am once again back in Steam City, one of the awesome builds, custom builds in the Magical Moving House Adventures that I did a review on last week. But if you would notice, I am very privileged to be joined by some of the creators of that awesome add-on. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
So I go by J. Tom Cad. I am the lead game designer for Big Die Gaming, amongst other things.
And whoever wants to go next can.
I'm a cop. I mostly work on all the mechanics of just getting everything working properly and a little bit of the design of a lot of the mechanics of everything that works.
And lastly,
I'm Merp, and I am a texture artist, and I work on models.
Awesome. Once again, before we get started, I just want to thank you guys all for coming on to the show and doing this interview. I truly appreciate it.
No problem, and thank you for having us, and thank you for what your channel helps all of us creators do what we do.
Oh, no problems. I am very much in love with the marketplace. There's some truly amazing artwork and creations that go in there, and I hate it when not enough people get to see it. That's one of the main goals of my channel, is to get these creations out there to people, because you'd be surprised how many people just don't understand what's on the marketplace. And so to get that out there so that more people can see you guys and enjoy your creations is the whole goal of the whole entire thing. So to get us started, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about Big Die Studios? This is the first time I've ever really done anything with you guys. Aren't you guys rather new? I'm not sure. Like, how long have you guys been creating for the marketplace?
So it's been, I would say, roughly about 2.5 years. We started off through publishing, through Block Labs, where we created a Golem Guard, which is definitely a fun tower defense style mini game to go check out. And there's also been a texture pack through Razzleberries, the Anthem Steampunk Fantasy texture pack, which is actually a lot of what this world's look is. And that's a really fun one. So recommend anybody who's just wanting a texture pack to definitely pick that one up. And then this project has been our first official partner project straight from Big Die.
Oh, very much so. That's why this is the first time I've actually got to see something direct from you guys. So yeah. So how big is Big Die Studios?
Currently, it's a mix. I'm not the owner of Big Die Studios, but there's a lot going on with Big Die. There's a lot of different avenues that Big Die takes as far as game development. This is just one of them. And Curtis, myself, and Merp, we are freelance contractors, and we work with Big Die to put out content in this area, like Minecraft.
Okay, very, very nice. I always like to start, like I said, before we got started, I like to get a little bit of information out about the studios that I work with, because so that people get to know a little bit more about the people who create these awesome things. So this is, let's go ahead and get into the actual game itself. If you can, sometimes this question can be a little iffy, but how long did it take you guys to make the Magical Moving House?
So I work full time, and we do a lot of different things other than like Minecraft development, and timing is always a hard thing to gauge the way we create, because we start with a crazy idea and then it just kind of evolves. So this game took us, all said and done, probably about a year plus, a year and a half to create.
Well, you could definitely see that a lot of time went into it. There's a lot of, I want to say, you can see the polish into a lot of different mechanics. Like my favorite one, the moving house itself, which we'll get into later. But you can see definitely a lot of polish and time went into the different designs of everything. And I really appreciate all that hard work. Now, earlier you told me you worked on the music?
Yeah, I composed all the songs that are in the game.
How many songs in total, if you can't answer that?
That is, hold on. Six, I believe, in total for this one.
Yeah, they're very nicely done. Unfortunately, I forgot to, I didn't know if it was copyright friendly at the time of doing the review, so I wasn't able to put any in there because I have to be really careful with music. I have it playing in the background of this interview so that people can actually hear some of it. But it was all done really, 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 really nicely. So if I could ask a question for all of you, what was your favorite part of this game? Like, what would you say was your favorite part of it? Whoever wants to go first.
Well, that's a hard one. There's a lot in here. I think the favorite part is when you can finally just play it with the thing that you wanted to play and wanted to see in Minecraft, where you can finally just get to a point of sitting down with your friends, and that's the reason why you made it, is to play it. And the pain and suffering that we definitely put in this game comes along with it. And I guess my favorite part is just the end experience, getting to enjoy it.
And what about you two?
Go ahead.
Mark.
Oh, okay. I would say my favorite part, that's really, really hard to choose as well, and it would probably be more of a two-part kind of thing, is that I've always been into Minecraft, but I do generally have the problem of I end up getting bored and not having anything that I really want to do, so I'll stop playing it for a while and then go back to it a couple months later and just kind of continue that cycle. But with this, having your house be able to move is amazing. And then also, when I get bored of building, I can go to the dungeons with the house, which makes it really cool for me because I'm not super great at Minecraft. So having my house right there, I don't die, lose all my stuff, and then not even know where I was.
Yes, I like that feature myself. I'm definitely gonna gush about the house later when we start talking about it. But go ahead, our last one.
Yeah, the house was definitely a favorite of mine, but I really love just going through the dungeons. I think is my favorite thing to actually do.
Yeah, the dungeons were fun. They had their challenges. and I did enjoy, dying in there a lot. But I definitely would say I definitely would playing it as much as I did, and I'm going to continue to do. The house is definitely what really pulled me in as well. I agree with all of you on that one. So overall, if you know, whose idea was it to do the house?
That was definitely my idea. It came from. Are you a fan of Ark? The game Ark?
Yes, very much so.
I played a lot of Ark, and I love that game. And what it came from was I used to, get the platform for the bigger dinosaurs and build bases on them. And
yes.
I loved being mobile. Instead of building a base in one spot, I like to build on top of a dinosaur and kind of herd all of my crew around and just set up shop wherever I want, because I felt it was really fun to get to explore more of the map that way instead of just being in one spot. And then I realized Minecraft just generates, and how much of that do we really as players ever interact with? And especially now they generate it so beautifully. It's really impressive, and I wanted a means to be able to encourage people to go see more of that. So the idea of mobile living was just a must.
And then, so who else? So did you originally have the idea of Steam City that's behind us too?
No, that kind of evolved after as the mechanics started getting developed. I mean, the house was a huge endeavor, and that's kind of the things you learn, the mistakes you learn, and the things you get right in development. Is like, we kind of have this, our little team here kind of has this, like, we get this crazy idea, we throw the bar up into the air, and our general rule is it doesn't come down, we have to reach it. So it's a challenge with our ideas to get them to come to life and working right. So the house just kind of is one of those things. I mean, it was remodeled and redone mechanically 3 different times because it wasn't satisfying enough until the last, like, kind of version of it made it look more like steampunk. And the way that happened is Brian, our builder and the owner of Big Die, who built this really awesome world, he made it in that steampunk style and that fashion, kind of a fantasy meets steampunk. And I was sitting around one day, and he wanted to see his windmills moving, and I was just looking at it, and he goes, "Man, can we make this move?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can make that move." So if you notice in town, you'll see some of these windmills actually move. And it was by that idea, when I was watching it move and just sitting back and looking at it, I just started picturing all of the houses that he built getting up and walking away. And I'm like, yeah, I know exactly kind of the art direction and what this needs to be now. It needs to be a real build, a real Minecraft build come to life.
Okie dokie. And getting over, like I said, we're going to get back to the house again, but I wanted to go over the mobs, the custom mobs. When was it the idea to add all of the different ones? Because there's a lot. So whose idea was it to add those, and who all worked on them?
So the mobs came about after the temples really got thought out. Originally, the house was supposed to just go to, like, points of interest, like destinations, to give you something to do with it. And then Curtis pretty much went crazy and developed this random generator and all of these different assets and modulars that can come together randomized, and these dungeons were born. And then you can't have dungeons without creatures and things to put in them. So that's kind of where I go in and get crazy and kind of theme them all out and make their own, like, groups of enemies. So there's more flavor in each one of them. All the mobs I designed and textured, and there's a lot of funny story behind all of them, honestly.
I bet there is. I was very, very, very surprised with just how many there were. Normally, with a mob, with a add-on like this, you normally run into a decent number, and then it just repeats and repeats and repeats. But you see such a large amount in each individual area, and then as you continue to go out into the world and the random spawns, there's such a variety. I like it because you don't get bored. Now, it's kind of hard for me to get bored with a game because I can play Minecraft literally for thousands of hours. I literally have thousands of hours into it now. I've played it ever since it came out over 10 years ago. So it's hard for me to get bored. Like, if I play an add-on and I get bored, that's normally a sign something was wrong because it takes a while.
Yeah. The idea of it was really just because Minecraft, the way I think about it, is already an amazing game. That's why it's, like the #1 selling game of all time. It's already huge and it's already great. So when I think of development for it, I always try to think in terms of, let's not take away what we all love about the game, but how do we expand it with a different aspect? Like, what's the new adventure that can happen in the game without taking anything else away from it? And that's kind of the style we use to develop content.
So, Marp, if you had to choose one of the creatures that was your favorite to work on, which one would it be?
That's very easy. My favorite, well, I don't know, not my favorite creature. I would say my favorite group of creatures to work on were definitely the crystal mobs. The Crystal Queen herself was probably my favorite one to do. That one, we already actually had some texture work on it, because some of the times J-Tom will make models and he'll partially texture them just to give me an idea of what we're going for, and then I'll make it more match everything else that we have in the game, and she was definitely my favorite one to do.
Okie dokie. What about the rest of the other two? Is there any one of those that, even if you didn't work on it, what was your favorite creature?
Honestly, I think the Leaflings.
Leaflings are everyone's. They're a demon to everybody, and they were really fun. I think it's not my favorite, but it's becoming my favorite. How much everyone hates the snakes, and that's kind of fun for me.
Yes, very much. I mentioned just how much I hated the snakes too, and my comic section blew up with how many people didn't like the snakes as well.
There is a side note. We do have like our projects, they mean a lot to us, so we're always going in and looking at what we can improve and update to it and keep it alive. And there's a lot of patches coming in the future for tweaks and different things that we found and we've been working on to just give everybody the full experience that we want them to have with this game. So there's going to be frequent updates.
Truthfully, I did, like I said in the review, I think you guys did an amazing job. I only found a few things I found needed a little bit of tweaking, but other than that, I didn't really run into anything too game breaking. There was one glitch that I was warned about, so I was able to avoid it, but you guys, I believe, already fixed it. With
the Leafling boss. He's patched.
Which if I had to choose one of my favorite boss ones, it's definitely that one. That encounter was done really well. It was very well balanced. I felt like if I died, it was my own mistake. It wasn't due to anything outside of my own skill, and that's actually to be commended. There's a lot of these where things are set up to where it's kind of just overpowering you, and there's really nothing you can do but muscle through. But the hit control, the damage control with the actual boss itself was done really well, to where I could hit him, dodge, get him to flinch the way I needed to actually make it a fight, not me just overpowering him or him overpowering me. So you guys did a really good job with that one.
Yeah.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit there. Could you say that again?
Fight is definitely one of my favorites. I think I like the Crystal Queen one just a bit more.
That one's my favorite too. The Crystal Queen one.
Crystal Queen is pretty amazing, especially with friends.
Yeah, I actually, the Crystal Queen fight is one of the only fights I actually didn't fully do. I got to do it once. Then I think what happened was I stopped playing for a little bit and something happened. I forget what happened. I had to start all over again. It wasn't a fault on you. It was something going on my own computer. And I lost like the save, so I had to start all over.
Yeah, it definitely takes a bit to get there, because the content's designed not to be get in here and play for a couple hours and you're finished. It's more designed for the long-term player that's ready to start a new world and a new adventure and have a long-term game. And the content's designed to repeat with you and flow with you, so it's always there to give you that adventure anytime you want it, but you don't have to do it.
Is that another reason why you had the dungeons be randomly generated as well?
Yeah, it's not just randomly generated on the map every time you load, the custom map, but outside of this island, Minecraft Seed will keep generating, and our dungeons will also generate with that randomly. So it's very You have a lot of content in this, hours upon hours upon hours. It's for the long term.
Definitely. Okay, so getting back to the main piece, I feel, the moving house. What were some of the difficulties that you ran into making that house?
Everything. Everything, like literally everything. Everything about it.
There's a lot going on with it. I can definitely tell there's a lot going on with it.
Like I said, it was remodeled and completely like redone, like the inner mechanics at least 3 times that I know of. I think as far as the bigger challenges, that would definitely be for Curtis to answer.
Yeah, biggest honestly, just getting it all to line up properly, to where you just don't getting it to switch from being the entity from the blocks and having it all just flow nicely to where it's not so jarring, where you know, just kind of flows properly and looks cool. I think that was probably one of the hardest challenges. And just trying to make sure it didn't mess up, because who wants to have a moving house, and if it makes you lose all the stuff you stored in it? Like, just trying to get that as stable as possible.
Yeah, I bet that would have been challenging. That's one of the first things that popped into my head when I started playing it. People underestimate just how hard it is to get objects to move like that in Minecraft. It's a wonderful system, but to get something to move that smoothly without constantly glitching out on you, I do not envy your job.
For me, it was definitely the wallpaper, because I mean, I'm a texture artist, so it's kind of the only thing I worked on in the actual house was the wallpaper. But it was like like J Tom said, everything about that house was hard. The wallpapers were the hardest textures that I had to do, but they were so worth it in the end of it, because going back to the whole dungeons having themes with the different mobs and everything, I've always loved it when games have like a theme going on, and so I really wanted to have that in the house itself to go with the rest of the game.
Very nice. And again, it all turned out beautiful. Now, another mechanic I wanted to talk to you guys about are the steam weapons. Those were all awesome, and I wanted to know, like, what were your thought process coming up with them? Because everything else you've added, I mean, the moving house by itself alone would have been fine. What gave you guys the idea to do the custom steam weapons?
That actually came towards the end of development, actually, because it was a hard decision, because the more you add, the longer everything takes. But we were so invested in wanting to see just putting out a piece of content that we truly wanted to play ourselves, that had to have, you know, better items, better weapons to kind of match and relate to everything else that we built in there, from the dungeons to the house. So it started off with the, you know, like pixel weapons, but I just didn't feel like it was good enough to just make a just draw another weapon and just put some stats on it. It really needed to be something unique, but then at the same time we couldn't make 100 of them because our resources for this game were already dwindling, and I was getting yelled at by our programmer 24/7 for that. So it was okay, let's make a few really cool weapons then that are very unique and fun, and that's kind of the basis of how it started. And then you keep with your art direction of steampunk fantasy. So I kind of just thought of that and blended those two ideas together to make some cool weapons based off of some of the mobs, and mostly based off of the technology of the citizens in Steam City.
Very nice. And this is a question for all of you. What's your favorite weapon?
Ooh, that's tough. I really like the Steam Cleaver, the chainsaw blade, everyone calls it, because it does AoE damage. So like if you're going into the Leafling or any dungeon and you're getting mobbed, because you could hit everybody in front of you all at once, and it really clears out hallways. It's really handy. So I'd have to give it to that.
Okay, what about,
yeah.
Yeah,
I'd have to agree. I mean, it's kind of funnily enough, it was probably one of the least resource intensive ones to actually get working, but it's still my favorite just because it's just so useful in fighting large groups.
For me personally, and I don't know, it's kind of a double-edged sword with that one because it does take experience to use, like the special effect on it, but the crystal staff, and that might partly be because I think it's the coolest looking one, but it's pretty nice, especially in the lizard dungeon or the leafling dungeon. Actually, it just kind of blows everybody away for a little bit to give you a second to breathe. So during that boss fight in the lizard dungeon, it's really nice to have one of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the cleaver, the chain.
Yeah,
me myself, I also called it the chainsaw sword as well. I just had a lot of fun. That thing got me out of a lot of close scrapes in the dungeons.
And that's the idea with the weapons, is they're meant to compliment you and reward you for your hard work struggling through the dungeons at first. But as you get that money and you get those weapons unlocked, you start becoming a boss inside those dungeons, because the weapons, few in number but very handy to tackle the challenges that await you in those dungeons.
And you guys gave us a lot to do with all the different little side quests that you do as you go, with the collecting of the notes and getting the steam crystals back to level up the city. There's actually quite a bit of things to go out there and collect and bring back. What was it like coming up with all those different things?
Very tough because of the scope of our game, that we didn't tough because we didn't take anything away from Minecraft. So all of that has to be taken into account anytime you want to direct anybody or get somebody to go somewhere. You have to take into account that they're free to just take off and never see anything you did. So it's a really hard challenge. But what I went with overall was when we all played Minecraft in the beginning, it didn't tell you anything. It didn't say anything. You just spawned in and you started doing. And I think that's a real pure essence of gaming for that everybody, I think, can relate to, is you feel so much more rewarded when you start figuring things out. So the idea of getting people to do certain things and quest and do turn in crystals, I wanted it to be in a way that you naturally can just start figuring out. You could read books about it that are in the game, you could talk to people, but you could just at your own pace start diving into it. And then as you're playing the content, you just feel like you're always being given something new, always being rewarded some way, and there's always something to do just naturally without having to force anybody in any one direction.
Yes, I definitely understand that. I kind of mentioned that a little bit in the review. I noticed that was your guys' style, to get us out there and to get us exploring, which is really good, because it, like you said, it rewards exploration. I mean, heck, just exploring the city itself. When you first spawn in, if you take the time to explore pretty much all the different buildings and houses, you're gonna walk away with a lot of stuff that you're gonna be able to use right away. Well, I figured you guys did that on purpose. That was a very good idea.
Yeah. I mean, you can't have this massive city with nothing in it. And if you fill it with entities, you're going to have a very laggy game. So it's kind of, what do you do? Well, give them a lot of fun, unique things to kind of boost your start for those that are really in the game. They know that exploring the city is really going to give them a leg up in the beginning.
Oh, it definitely does. And doing that reminds me of my next questions. Whose idea was it for the bank?
That was a cost, definitely.
So that came about more for a necessity of how to work a currency system for the to kind of like make the currency work well with the shops. It was kind of like afterwards, like, well, they need to be able to interact with that currency, and that's kind of where the bank came from.
It fits in perfectly because You don't have to haul the currency around with you. You don't have to worry about losing it or having to store it all in your base. And when you're ready to buy something, it's done really well. It's something we take for granted in other games. How easy it is to hang on to currency. Well, in many of the Minecraft add-ons, this is a problem we're normally running in. If there's any type of currency in the game, finding it and having to hang it onto it and carry it around is always a big risk, because chances are it's a game. If it's anything any good, you have a chance of losing it. And by making it set up that way, it was just perfect. And I felt like it was a nice little touch, a little quality of life, a little thing there that just really helped you sit back and enjoy the game. One less worry, one more function in there to really help us enjoy the game.
And definitely glad you picked up on that and appreciate that, because that was one of the things I was talking to Lakoth about is, hey, in all honesty, we made this pretty dang hard. And if you could get your money to that bank, you're safe. And that's kind of the game, is can you get in there, get that loot, and get it to a safe spot before you die? Because dying is inevitable. And we needed a way for people to at least be able to get that checkpoint and save something so that everything isn't all lost, because it's going to happen a lot.
I mean, I'm also very happy you put a ton of random gear everywhere, because you're going to need it for sure.
Well, yeah, we actually did a lot of game testing ourselves, because, I mean, we wanted it to be super awesome. So how are we going to know if we don't play it ourselves? And a lot of that was like, in playing it, we're like, man, I wish there was some stuff around here. These are all, because there's immense buildings and all this storage space. And it was like, we should probably put some stuff in here, because I would like that.
Oh yeah, I appreciated that. There were many a time. Literally, for most of my playthroughs, the house was full of storage, because I just kept picking everything up and just stuffing it in there, because I'm like, I'm gonna probably need that. Because like I said in the review, death, what you said earlier, death is inevitable. You're going to die. There's not a chance. And maybe in late game, when you have some of the best gear and you're really paying attention, or you're with a crew of people, maybe you'll survive. But when you're first getting in there, you're going to die. So make sure you pick up backups for your backups for your backups.
And that's the thing too, is the more people you team up with, the harder the dungeons get. They will get harder based off of the people that are in them. So it's always a challenge, even when you bring a team. It does help. And I know there's a mastery you can get to, because I've played it a lot, and we played it when the dungeons were 10 times worse than they are now, so we kind of got really good at fighting in Minecraft. And I mean, just the other day I ran the Leafling dungeon and its boss with 0 deaths, so I know there is a method to the whole thing, and there's mastery involved in it if people are willing to go first through the pain, because there will be pain first.
Now, speaking of the dungeons, the puzzles. Now, I'm pretty sure I didn't see all of the puzzles because of how they generate, but I think I saw most of them. And what would you say was your favorite one? This is a question for all of you.
I'll go first. Probably the one... Oh, go for it.
For me, I really like the push challenge ones. The ones where you push the blocks around. I think those are my favorites.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably that one, the one that most people don't like. Is the one me and Lakoth are gonna like, because we're huge puzzle nerds, so we like that kind of stuff.
For once, I'm gonna agree with both of their answers on this one, because the piston puzzles are actually my favorite ones as well.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with all three of you. I hate the piston puzzle. You have no idea the sense of dread I felt coming into a room and seeing the piston ones. I'm like, no, why? anything but the piston ones. And then, then to add insult to injury, for me, normally the piston ones would end with a mimic as the chest. So,
sorry.
I just want to say thank you for that one.
So the mimic, by the way, is an Easter egg and a throwback to our game Golem Guard, because he is also in that game. And we put him into this one because we're mean and we're cruel, and there is no plan on adjusting him. He's like you rolled a critical miss if you got a mimic, so good luck. Bring a shield.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, so awesome, so awesome. I did.
We caused a lot of tears.
Oh yeah, I did one dungeon, and no joke, every single chest was a mimic.
Wow. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been playing this game for over a year now. I have never run into one. I'm lucky. I see other people die from them, and I'm like, I bet that sucks. But I have not run into a single one.
Yeah, I, on the other hand, frequently run into them. So,
yeah, I did. I think it was the second time I did the Leaf dungeon. Every single one was a mimic, and it scarred me for the rest of my experience.
I'm sorry.
That's some pretty bad luck there.
Yes.
If you look,
Oh, go for it. Sorry.
If you look at the footage in the review, you'll notice that I always have my weapon out when I walk up to a chest. It's because of the mimics.
Yeah, shoot it. Shoot it from a distance.
Yeah,
I think they just know who their master is. They know I created them, and they're not allowed to mess with me. So I've never gotten one. It's randomly generated, but I'm lucky.
Yeah, but all the other puzzles, I loved all the other puzzles. I liked the number matching one where you have to figure out the symbols that match up to a certain number. Then the Sudoku puzzles. That was my favorite because I happen to really love that game. And I can play that for hours too. So I was very happy to see that one when it was in there. So
I think that's my favorite.
What was that? Yeah, you were breaking up again.
I think that was my second favorite, was the Sudoku.
Well, you guys, what was your second favorite?
I'd have to say, it's kind of a tie between the Sudoku, but the number blocks and matching the shapes and the patterns on the walls, I really like those.
I think the matching, so specifically the crystal dungeon, the matching the wall puzzle one with the dice, but I also think that's kind of mostly because I like to steal all of those blocks because I really like what they look like.
So you steal all the dice blocks?
Oh, not the dice blocks, the rune blocks in the crystal dungeons. Yeah, because they're like purple and glowy and they just look really cool. So I do the whole puzzle, and then once I solve it, I break all the ones out of the wall and steal them.
And decorate your house with them?
Yes.
Of course. So, if you were to choose your least favorite puzzle, what would it have been?
For me, it is definitely the Simon Says puzzle that you could find in the Crystal Dungeons only. It's the least favorite for me, not because it's not good, because my brain could not figure out the timing for that to save my life. And I would go to Lakoth and be like, how is this done? And he's like, read it. And I'm like, reading it. It makes so much sense now. I've seen everybody else do it, but I just could not figure out the timing for myself. So it was always killing me. And that was my least favorite one. Probably because I'm not good at it.
What about you two?
I don't know. After that one, they're kind of mostly all just kind of equal to me.
I would also have to go with the Simon Says one, but also, I understood it, but for me, it's hard to play, so I always play in first person, and it's really hard to do third person with the movement for me, but I have to go into third person for that one, because I cannot jump. I'm not a parkour master, so I can't even jump like from one to the next without falling almost every time. So probably that one.
I'm with you there. If you've watched my channel, most of everyone knows I am not a parkour fan. I am not good at it at all.
Actually, I do watch your channel, and I definitely related to that when I watched it. I'm like, hey, he can't jump either. Yay!
Yeah, I cannot do it. I think what it was. What name was it? I can't remember the add-on. It was a while ago. It was when I first really got into doing it. Oh, we lost somebody. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I forget which one. I forget the name of it, but the add-on I did. It was a lot of parkour, and I did so horrible in it that the studio, which is a different name studio now, reached out to me and was like, "We're really sorry. We're really sorry about that." They even tweaked the next sequence to it. They made it a little bit easier because they were like, you know what, you did show us that not everyone can do that. So they made it a little bit easier for people who aren't parkour inclined, because it was a really nice adventure one that just had just enough parkour to make you rip your hair out, but there was a lot of good combat and custom made mobs and areas and weapons that you could enjoy. It was just the parkour that kind of held it back. So they made it, they tweaked it from that because of my inability to do it. So, you know, they felt pity on me, and I appreciate that too.
Yeah, you're definitely not the only one.
Yeah, well, that can kind of be like I noticed some of the issue with myself with designing some of the difficulty of stuff. It seems really easy to me when I've played it for so many hours and know everything there is to know about, well, everything in it. Sometimes you have to seeing other people play it, you're like, oh, that's much harder than I realized. Let me tone that down.
Yes, and I think that's something that every developer, especially small developers, have to deal with, because you test it yourself and you try your best, but it's not easy to, because everybody thinks, oh, you know, just build a test team. And I've participated in test teams. I've been invited to do test teams, and it's not an easy thing to set up. Even if you have people like me who volunteer to do it for free, you know, I'm like, it's not easy to set that up, and that still takes time. Not everybody has that time. So, you know, to get in there and do it as best as you can to your abilities and just make the game functional, that's good enough. There are going to be things that are going to need tweaked later, but like you said, that's why you watch people, you ask people's opinion, and listen.
Definitely.
Okie dokie. Well, I didn't want to keep you guys for too long, and we're getting about down to the point to where we can pretty much finish it off. But to ask one more question about Big Die and working with Big Die, what would you guys say is Big Die's strength to look out for in the future? Like, what is the thing that you guys feel Big Die does good? And this is a question for all of you.
Personally, I think it's just the freedom to we come from a gaming first, kind of freedom of expression and being able to create what we want to actually play in it, and the patience that it takes and the timing that it takes to create something on this scale. I think the good thing about Big Die is having that patience to develop however long it takes to make the game you want to play.
And Curtis?
Yeah, I have to say, it's kind of nice. It's just a lot of freedom in how you want to make the stuff. To kind of just more feel to just kind of like see what works. There's a lot of that in this.
Gotcha. And Mark?
I think personally, mostly making it, the fact that we're making things for Minecraft, but not trying to take anything away from Minecraft itself, because it is such a fun game, and the reason people are buying things for Minecraft is because they already love Minecraft. So mostly just that we make real expansion stuff for Minecraft and not our own game and with the Minecraft name on it.
Yes, I understand. A lot of the, I would say, studios that I high regard, they each have something I feel they do uniquely. Studios like Everbloom, they tell amazing stories. Studios like Game Mode 1 give insane gameplay add-ons to the game that completely change it from a Minecraft game. There aren't really many studios, if any actually, that try to leave Minecraft alone, that are trying to add on to it like what you guys do. That is something I feel is pretty unique for the marketplace. Naturally, Minecraft add-ons always have that Minecraft feel, but the studios are trying to break away from that, which is not a bad thing, but most of them are trying to do that. Not many are trying to say, hey, yes, we're trying to do more in Minecraft, but we're not trying to take Minecraft away from you. And that is definitely something to be commended and watched out for in the future. Like I said in the review, I will definitely be watching out for the next thing you guys drop intently to play it.
Awesome, and thank you a ton. This has been really fun, and what you do is awesome. And look forward to another really fun creative piece, because that's what we focus on, and be prepared to wait. It's a very small team and it takes a long time, and we always try to make sure it's what we really want before it comes out.
Hey, and that's to be commended. I lose respect for studios that throw something out there just to throw something out there. Take your time. Sometimes it is what it is. Take your time. Make sure it's done right. I never would criticize a studio for taking too much time. Some of the best add-ons on the marketplace literally have taken years, and we can see the quality from them taking their time. So I would never rush any studio. If you need to take time, take that time, because I feel that these add-ons are artwork, and an artist needs the time they need, however long it is, to finish that masterpiece. Interfering is just going to make it worse.
Well, we definitely agree on that.
All right, then. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. I had fun doing this as well. And you guys watching, please, if you have not already checked out the latest from this team, go check it out now. I'll make sure to leave a link down in the description below so that you can, if you haven't already, go check out the Magical Moving House Adventure. It's a wonderful add-on. You'll have fun. Like we've been warning you, though, it is hard, but very much rewarding. So enjoy if you guys can, and thanks again for watching. Why don't you guys say your goodbyes to the people watching?
Hello, one at a time. Here you go.
Go ahead, Josh.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning into Average Arcader. Definitely support and subscribe him. He's amazing. And definitely check out the game. You won't regret it if you're in for a challenge and a new adventure and a new kind of way to look at the game you already love to play.
Yeah, just thanks for everyone watching. If you do end up getting it, I hope you enjoy it. It was a lot of time and effort into making it. That's about it.
Mark?
Yep, pretty much the same thing everyone else has said. Definitely, I started watching Average Arcader's videos before any of this happened, and I just love his reviews. So if you're here, obviously you do too, and thanks for watching. And yeah, the game is really fun, and we hope you enjoy it above everything else.
Thank you guys all for that. I really appreciate that as well. All right, guys, this is Average Arcader, and I will catch you guys next time.